Welcome back, Short Kings, to another episode of Tech Tuesday. Today we're going to be answering a simple question. Can you use a PS4 Dualshock controller to control your PlayStation 5? And more importantly, can you play PlayStation 5 games with a PS4 controller? You might need to do this if your PlayStation 5 controller breaks suddenly, or in other cases, you actually prefer to use your PlayStation 4 controller. Some prefer the size, some prefer the price. I prefer the back button attachments. They're less than 10% the price of a Pro controller for the PlayStation 5. If you have researched this before, then you know there are a lot of confusing answers. Some people say yes, and some people say no. Sony says yes, but also Sony says no. So in this episode, we're going to demystify the confusion. We're going to try this out ourselves to see if it's possible, its limitations, and what we need to make it work. Okay, so some people will say you can use a PS4 controller, but only for certain games. And more specifically, the DualShock 4 will not work with PS5 games. The go-to answer has been that the DualShock 4 on PS5 can only play older games. That's right. PlayStation 5 games will not support DualShock 4 controllers. But why? Why doesn't the PS4 controller work for PS5 exclusive games? Thanks, Mel. There are two main answers, and that's haptic feedback and force feedback triggers. When the PlayStation 5 came out, everyone was telling you how to connect your PS4 controller. The simple answer is just plug it in. You don't even have to use Bluetooth. As soon as you plug in the USB cable, the PS5 will recognize it and you can control the menu and settings. But if you want to connect it via Bluetooth, here's what you got to do. You have to go to your settings on your PS5, go to accessories and Bluetooth accessories. You press the PlayStation and share buttons on the PS4 controller at the same time until the LED light blinks. This means that the PlayStation 4 controller is in pairing mode. And then on the PS5, look for PS4 controller under accessories found. Once the two devices are paired, you're good to go. You can control your PlayStation 5. But the only drawback is the PlayStation 4 controller can only play PlayStation 4 games. So yes, if you don't have a PS5, the PS5 is backwards compatible and can play PS5 games as well as PS4 games. So it totally makes sense that you can still play your PlayStation 4 games as before. Same games, same controllers. You can even use the same hard drive. I've done this myself. If you used to play your PlayStation 4 games off of an external hard drive, you can plug in that same hard drive to the PS5 and jump into the games right away. The PS5 will recognize it and act just like a PS4. So no need to even install anything. You can alternatively try to buy and use third-party accessories to get around this limitation, but this video is not about that. This video is all about using what you have and doing it for free. I'm not going to tell you to buy stuff. So now that we've connected the PlayStation 4 controller to the PS5, we can play PS4 games. So look, these two are PS4 games, and these two are PS5 games. We can't play these games. It will simply say controller not supported. But there is a workaround, and that's why you click this video, because right now I am currently using a DualShock PS4 controller. Let's see what happens when I try to play a PS5 game. Now, I know you can't see my controller right now, so you'll have to take my word for it, because the answer is coming up real soon. There we go. We are in the PS5 version of Sackboy, and I am using a PS4 controller. You can tell by how loud it is. The PS5 controller doesn't sound as plasticky. For some ASMR, here's the PS4 followed by the PS5 so you can hear them back to back. So how are we doing this? Technically, I am playing this, but there is a tiny lag. Why is there a lag? Well, that's because, look, my mouse is still on the screen. I am using Remote Play. This is handy if you only have one controller and you can't use it for whatever reason. So if you haven't heard all the hype already about the PlayStation Portal, it's been a few years, so I hope you have heard about it. The main downfall is that it doesn't play the games themselves. It streams them from your PlayStation 5. So you have to put your PlayStation 5 in rest mode and then turn it on with your PlayStation Portal. So essentially, this is just like a $300 version of Remote Play. Remote Play you can use on your phone, on your tablet, or on your computer, which is what I'm currently doing right now. Now, although the PlayStation Portal has all the benefits of the PlayStation 5 controller, the look, the feel, everything is included. But when you play on your phone, phone, you don't really have that. So things like the PlayStation Backbone 1 and other devices try to emulate that. Actually, they did that first, and then PlayStation released an official version of doing that. And that's why it's almost twice the price. So when you're using either your phone or like a third-party accessory, you're not going to have the look and feel of the DualSense controller, which means that there is a way to play PS5 games without a PS5 controller. Now, I initially gave up on the idea of using my PS4 controllers until I went to go play on my PS4 again. After doing research for my rest mode versus turn it off video, I went to try out remote play on different devices, and one of the devices was my old PS4, which wasn't even in my house. So through the PS4, there was a remote play app, and I could connect to my PlayStation 5 back home. And as I was doing that, I realized, wait, I'm playing a PlayStation 5 with a PlayStation 4 controller. Yes, there was lag because the internet connection wasn't that great, but it was still possible. So when I came back home, I tried it again. I plugged in my PS4 controller to the computer on the same Wi-Fi network, and the lag was almost fixed. So that's how I got here, controlling the PS5 with my PS4. And just so you can hear the lag, here are the button presses. So you can see it's pretty snappy. Let's bring him closer. All right, hopefully you can hear the clicks. It's almost instantaneous. I wouldn't recommend this for competitive online multiplayer games, but most of the games that I talk about on this channel, this method should be good. It's not a permanent solution, but it's good to know that you have a backup controller. This is especially helpful if you're in between PS5 controllers. Say you're sending one back or you're on your way to get a new one and you have to wait a few days. It's just nice to know that we can still use our PlayStation 4 controller that's lying around collecting dust to control our new PS5 system. And if you don't have a computer lying around, you could still hook this up to your phone. Yes, you don't have to use the dumb touchpad controls, which are almost impossible. You can connect your PlayStation 4 Dualshock controller to your phone, and then you can have the best of both worlds. The classic PlayStation feel and controlling a PS5 game with a PS4 controller. That's hella tight. Anyways, I hope you found that useful. It's just a little thing I came across and I forgot to share it way back when. Also worth noting, you can totally play remote play with multiple players. So this is from the official remote play website of the PS5. Here we go. Play a multiplayer game. When a player begins using remote play, others can join in as added players. To join a remote play session as an added player, you need to log into the client PS5 console and then press the start options on your controller. So long story short, a total of 3 players can join a multiplayer game. Obviously, when the player who started the remote play quits, the session ends for all the players. Also sucks, but you can't use your microphone during multiplayer games. So another thing to know about playing multiplayer on the remote play app is that the PS5 treats remote play just like a second controller. So there you go, playing PlayStation 5 games using the PlayStation 4 controller. While most buttons work great, some of the buttons aren't the best. So the share button still works and the start button's perfect. But in this game specifically, the touchpad doesn't really do anything. And if I press the PlayStation button in the middle, it still works. It still acts like a PS5 controller, which is amazing. Now, what happens if I hold it? Look at that, going back to the main menu. Isn't that great? I know it's not a perfect solution, but it works. It's a workaround. So if you enjoyed that tip, subscribe for more. Tech Tuesday, we haven't done that in a while. I hope you enjoyed the quick episode and learned something new. Until next time, be a friend, and I'll see you again.